From the big screen to the stage, movies and the performing arts are shaping and impacting the lives of people of all ages. How is God on the move to reclaim the performing arts for His glory with excellence? On our program today, we will hear from one organization that God is working through. Our guests will share about an after-school theater arts education program for kids from ages 5 to 18 that offers opportunities to develop their talents, interact with others, become a positive member of their community, and to audition for fully staged musical productions that have a quality of excellence led by professionals that volunteer their time. Their goal is to teach, grow, and mentor students nationwide while instilling in them Christ's values and message, reflecting Christ through performing arts. Stay tuned. Welcome to Everlasting Love TV. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You can also see the show on Everlasting Love TV YouTube channel. Tonight we have the privilege and honor of having staff and parents who are involved with Spotlight Youth Theater, their mission is to bring Christ, to glorify Christ through the arts. And so we're going to be able to meet them tonight and hear about their passion and their journey and their testimonies and why they do what they do. So without further ado, we're going to go start and introduce our guests. So first of all, we're going to start with Miriam. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. First of all, thanks for that. And Miriam, you are the Director of Marketing and also a show director and a teacher.
Yes.
So welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have Shelley, and you are a Spotlight parent as well as an area coordinator for the McHenry
Correct,
County.
yes.
And also you were a teacher
Yes.
with Spotlight too.
Yes.
Okay. And then we also have Brittany, and you are a show director and a teacher as well. So busy ladies.
Yeah.
Your hands in all the different areas. So welcome. We'd like to start with just hearing your testimonies. It's a really important part to kind of hear your journey of faith, how you came to Christ, and even how being a Christian and being a believer, how that's impacted your involvement with Spotlight, and if there's a why of why you're doing what you do right now.
Sure.
So yeah, go ahead, Miriam.
Sure. I grew up in a Christian household, and so we went to church, all throughout my childhood and into high school and all of that. And that's kind of when I got the bug for acting. I started when I was younger, but in high school it really intensified. And so I decided I wanted to do theater. And what kind of helped me decide that was how supportive my parents were. And so it was always great, being affirmed by them, and them telling me that it's a God-given gift and nurture that God-given gift. And you can glorify God through theater. It's a tough industry to do that, but you can definitely do that. So I decided to follow my passion into college. And right before college, actually, my mom passed away, and it wrecked me. I kind of turned my back on God. I didn't feel like He was with me, near me. What kind of a God would take someone's mom? So I kind of floundered in college the first couple years with my faith, and I think it was going into my third year. I didn't like who I was. I was struggling with that. I had school down, I had friends down, I had all of that down, but I just wasn't comfortable with myself. And through a lot of prayer from my sister, my one sister, she prayed every day for me, she told me. And I finally kind of came to the realization, that God was tugging on my heartstrings. And I found my way back to the church, and I realized, where I was going in life as far as theater goes. I wanted to give back. I wanted to be a support system for kids who maybe weren't lucky enough to have parents who supported them. I wanted to help nurture their God-given talents. And so I had heard of Spotlight when I was a kid. And then as I got out of college and found myself back in the suburbs, I kind of shot my resume over there. I didn't know how I'd fit in. And about a year later, the executive director at that time, he contacted me. And he asked me to interview for a marketing position. And I was like, great. And yeah, I got the job, and it was just so neat being able to do marketing, but also teach and direct and fulfill that goal of mine to be able to, teach and direct and nurture kids' God-given talents.
Yeah. So your journey, I mean, definitely that emotional, and sorry about and that, and I know God carried you through.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And sometimes we miss it.
Yes.
We do turn our hearts. We're hurt. We're angry. We're confused. We don't know why. And then He's like, I'm still here.
Yes.
And it's just so thankfully your sister kept interceding and not giving up.
Yeah. God and I had it out.
Yeah. Sure. and he can take it. He can take it, and He loves us even when we're being real, especially when we're being real.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how have you seen your faith being able to be even strengthened, perhaps, with your involvement in Spotlight? Have you noticed that?
Sure, I have. It's interesting. There's always that statement that comes back, faith like a child.
Yeah.
And it's every day that I, come into work, every day that I go teach or direct, especially the younger kids. I just see them worshiping and praying and using their talents, and it just kind of reminds me why I'm here, why I'm doing this. No matter how hard a day is and how frustrating any job could be. I'm just constantly renewed, and I just constantly see God in these kids, in the work that they do, in just the way the company is run. So it definitely, on those hard days, working with kids, that faith like a child is something that I kind of hold on to, and something that brightens my day.
Yeah, so good. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Shelley, how about you?
Mine is actually very similar to Miriam's. I did not know that. But I was raised in a very traditional Christian upbringing. It was more legalistic. I didn't really have a relationship. I had more of a system of religion. And so I followed them like every good girl should. And I really didn't ever get it. Like, it didn't mean something to me. And then I started, when I was in high school, going to youth group with a friend from school. And she was in a very more free type relationship church, building church. And so I would just watch her, and I was amazed and really jealous in a good way. I was drawn to the light that was within her. I was intrigued by how she prayed, and she would ask God to help her with a test. And it was like a real friendship. And one night I was spending the night, and I asked her, I was 15, and I said, what do I need to do to get where you are, because I'm lacking that. And she prayed with me, and I accepted the Lord that night. Now, I still didn't know what to do with it. So it kind of laid dormant. I knew it was there. And so I became, through high school and college, and, even when I met my husband, I was still kind of like, it's there. I love God. I know who He is. But there was really not a forming.
Cultivating that.
Yeah, it wasn't growing. It was there. It was like a seed that was just waiting. And then we had I married my husband, and we had our first child. And then it's like, gotta go to church. Gotta get this right, And so we started going to church for her, because it's what you do. And slowly through that becoming a parent process for me, God drew me back, but it really wasn't where I was all in, where I was gonna just release control to Him and let Him lead me and guide me until my father passed away. And then it was like, whoa, I really don't have control in things that happen in this world, but He does. And I was angry, and I yelled at the ceiling a lot and cried a lot, and it took a couple years of me wanting to explore that with God and to grow closer. And then I did. My husband kind of started it. He kind of went through an awakening as well, and I just followed him right through it. And I'm so thankful, because we just really exploded in our faith from that point. And now it's, with all of our children now, it is very important to us that it clicks quicker, because I think I missed a lot of opportunity for ministry and times to impact people. And I also missed, because I chose not to let God in for several years, I missed an opportunity to allow Him to help me through situations, because I chose to do it myself. So when I had another trial several years after my father passed away, I started having miscarriages, and we didn't know why. And through that process, and we lost 5. And it was so painful, but I knew from walking away after my father passed away, I didn't want to do it alone again. And so the second time I had my big crisis, I asked Him to lead me through it. And it was such a better experience, if you can imagine, that it would be, but it was. And so it has really changed how I walk through life now, and I allow God to help me, and I'm not I can do it, because it's my way's not the best way.
And what I see like just coming out of you is there's a gentleness, and I feel like by you inviting God right into that, because you could have gotten really tough, angry, built up those walls, but that's just beautiful how you learned, and you're like, okay, God,
I
this
learned.
This time I welcome you, and just how your kids and being a parent, you did it for them, and God's like, and yes, we also have you in mind, right?
Of course,
right. Well, that's a great story. And then how has maybe your time with Spotlight spurred you on in your faith, or encouraged you, or give you a place to live it out in a way? Because I really feel He redeems our time. I know there's things you've missed, and little things like here, or big things that like, oh, I wish I would have done that or surrendered sooner. And I also feel like he can redeem those moments.
I do feel like he's given me a second chance to fix some of those things.
Nice.
And he actually gave me back my dreams. Like, I kind of let him go once I became a mommy and everything was focused and centered around the children. I did all of the theater background and stuff growing up. My earliest production, I was 3 with my dad.
Oh my goodness.
And
wow.
so I have grown up backstage. My dad was a musician, and my mother has a gorgeous voice, and all of my family on my father's side all play instruments and sing amazing. And so it is just something that's always been there. And then I became a mom, and no one musical with my husband's side of the family, really. And so we just started focusing on the kids and other things, and no hockey. That's really kind of came up as hockey and figure skating. And so we just didn't go to the music side, and I missed it. And I hadn't been in a production for years and years and years. And slowly God has given that all back to me, and I'm just in a different role. I'm now backstage, or I'm in a classroom, or I'm, praying with the kid who's crying, in a hallway, and so it's really given me an extension to where I didn't even try or attempt to invite him in those years younger. Now I can totally explore that with him just as the parent or the adult. And I constantly encourage the children to realize the blessing that they have right now, because it really would have been wonderful had I gotten to do that then. But I am getting to do it now, and I'm very, very thankful for that.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for sharing. Brittany?
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing. That's just, I love hearing other people's testimonies. That's just so wonderful. I have a lot of similarities to what you guys did. I was fortunate enough to grow up in a Christian home with a wonderful family that always supported anything that I wanted to do. And first and foremost, it was the love of drama, and I was just a very loud child who sang into anything that looked like a microphone. So they definitely pushed me in and encouraged me in that area. But I remember even though I had gone to church, I had gone to Sunday school, it wasn't until I was in 3rd grade that I went to kids camp, a camp that I went to every summer down in Carlinville, Illinois. It was a Christian camp that I finally I heard the word of God just really spoken to me by a tiger. It was a person in a tiger costume, and I just really connected with that tiger.
Right?
And for some reason, it just finally clicked with me, and all those Bible stories just started to come to life, and I just really started to feel like, wow, I actually want to live this out. So ever since then, I've lived my life as a Christian as best I can. And once I got to the end of high school and college, I just started getting really busy with academics and just kind of steering away from the church a lot. And I definitely, kind of like Miriam, I kind of fell into the college scene, and I just didn't really want anything to do with God. I mean, I still called myself a Christian, but I'd go out partying. I struggled a lot with alcohol. I had a lot of trouble with just like toxic friendships and relationships. And God just hit me with a lot of storms. But what was really cool is when I came home and I had to live with my parents again. But when I got home, my mom was like, you have to go back to church. If you're going to live under this house, if you're going to live under this roof, that's where you need to be. And neglectfully, I went. And I got reconnected at my home church, and finally made friends at church, and got involved with our young adults group, and was just really cared for and ministered to people that went through similar things. And God just finally just like softened my heart towards Him and was like, you know what, you screwed up, but like I still love you, and like I am being faithful to you right now. And since then, I mean, I have finally found friendships that are not just one-sided, and He's just helped me through all of these storms and valleys that I've gone through. Post that with jobs, with Spotlight Youth Theater, like, oh my goodness, it's been really cool to be in a Christian environment, and to really just kind of delve into that. In addition, with my young adults group that I got involved with, we went on a missions trip to Israel 2 years ago.
Oh, so good.
And not only, I just have a heart for helping people, so the missions part was incredible, but just being somewhere where, you could tangibly feel God's presence, and to just walk where Jesus walked, and then to come back home not only just with these stories and these pictures and these memories, but to be able to be singing about Mount Zion, and then have this like slideshow running through your head of like, well, I was just standing on Mount Zion.
Yeah.
It really helped make the Bible come to life for me, which is something that I had just struggled with. It just sometimes it was just a book of promises that I had believed in my whole life, but it really helped renew just my faith in God, and that He really has been faithful through my whole life. And being able to just kind of look back at my life and seeing all those countless times that He has just saved me time and time and time and time and time again, and put the right people in my life time and time again, in the right situations, whether good or bad. It's just been really, really cool to see that, especially as I get older. So it's been a journey. I know it's going to continue to be a journey, and I'm thankful that He's always there with me, and always going to just continue to be more like Him and strive towards Him. So
That's so good. Thank you so much. Yeah, just His grace, right?
Yes.
We say that word, and then we really realize the weight of His grace. His grace keeping us, His grace keeping you, and really rough, dark moments of your heart, and just times of grief and of loss, and wondering, where do I go? Do I give up on life? Do I keep going? And even you with college, and just kind of putting God to the shelf, and He never puts us on the shelf. He's always pursuing us. He's always loving us. His love is relentless, and I love that. Right? He doesn't give up. He's like, okay. And it just, so that's great. Thank you both. Thank you, all of you, for sharing. I really appreciate that, and I know that it comes out of you. I see it. I see it in your countenance and what you carry, and I know that He'll continue to use you, like in the work that you're doing, and also at Spotlight. So let's share a little bit about what you do at Spotlight, your roles, and even how you got connected. And first of all, how long has Spotlight been around?
17 years.
17 years. Okay.
Yes.
And it's always been in the suburbs.
Yes.
Pretty much. Okay.
So, and we started in McHenry County.
Okay.
And then we grew, and we are currently in, I'm going to say them in alphabetical order, because that helps you remember. Aurora, DuPage, Kane County, Kenosha in Wisconsin, Lake County, and we have McHenry County, Milwaukee in Wisconsin, Northwest Cook, and let's see, Oak Park, thank you,
Okay,
Oak Park
there's one in
area.
Oak Park too. Okay.
Orland and Will County down south, and then Rockford.
Wow, it's a big. How many staff would you say? Do you know roughly? Estimate? Is it like just?
So in the office,
Yeah.
I think there are 13 of us in office, and then in our areas and all of those locations, we have a production AC, and sometimes we have a class AC.
AC is area coordinator.
Area coordinator,
Okay.
yes. They kind of are the people who hold up those counties.
Yeah.
Oh my word, they're amazing.
Wow.
Shelley's one of them, and it's just they're phenomenal people.
Yeah.
So we have I think maybe 16 area coordinators between all the counties.
Okay.
Some, like Shelley, does production and class for McHenry. And then as far as teachers and directors go, a lot.
Yeah. It sounds like it's been growing. So what is your part? I know marketing director and then show director and teacher. So speak to that, like the different roles. That's juggling a lot of different things.
Yes, absolutely. I'm the marketing director, so I take care of advertising and marketing the company and all of our locations. And I have a wonderful girl, Elle, who does social media marketing. So we kind of tap into that. And another member on the team is Taylor. He does our graphics. So we're just able to kind of produce, professional work to market this great company. So that's kind of my day-to-day thing. And it's funny because I was just telling someone how in a normal world, I don't think I could, in the normal world, I couldn't do marketing. Way too intense. But it's so easy to market and advertise a company like this.
That you have passion for.
Yes, that I have passion for. Not only the theater side, but just what we stand for. So that's my day-to-day. And then I will also teach and direct. So currently I'm teaching an improv class.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And a project acting class, which is kind of a more intense acting class. So, and I will do shows periodically. I'll direct and assistant direct and stage manage.
How many shows would you say in a year do you get to direct?
I do 1 to 2 actually.
Okay, because that's a big undertaking just in of itself.
Yeah.
And then all the other things too. What brings you joy when you think about all those roles? And there could be definitely more than one, Miriam. But what really brings you joy at the end of the day that you go home and you're like, okay, I went to work and I loved it, and this is why.
I would say day to day, what brings me joy is hearing the schools, because we'll do field trips. They'll come and see our shows. Teachers who call in and just are amazed at the product that we produce. Things like that. The success stories. The parents who call in and say, our kid doesn't speak a lot. They don't talk at home. But they were able to get into a class, and they're the showcase night where the classes do kind of a 10-minute showcase piece. They're the ones who are front stage, front and center stage.
Getting over their shyness and fears and all of that. Wow, that's
so
great.
being able to see that from an office perspective, but also in the field, is something that I just, at the end of 10 weeks of the classes or the end of a show, I'm constantly in tears because it's moving. How these kids are just coming out of their shell. So.
And you see it tangibly lived out. You see the transformation right in front of your eyes. So how fun.
Yeah.
How fun.
Great.
Thank you. How about you, Shelley? Your roles, and I know you have the new role.
Yes.
How soon is that? Or how recent is that?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh wow, that's really recent.
So here we go. But I always knew I wanted the job. As soon as I saw that position when I was as a spotlight parent, I told my husband, I love her, but I want her job. I just knew it was like my dream job, and I really thought it would be 5 years from now. But the opening came, the person I replaced was promoted, and I did it, and I'm so already happy. It's literally my dream job, and
What do you do in that role?
So I'm the McHenry area coordinator, and I do coordinate the classes.
Okay.
So what we offer to McHenry County, that is my domain, and I make sure that the children are in a safe environment and that we're offering great things, and then I'm working with our education director, and that they get where they need to be, and that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and all of that. And I order the snacks, which is the most important thing for the children. That's what they care about. But it's lovely. So that is one half, and then the other half is the production side, where I will help the directing team and the parents understand what's going on, and help the kids know what they're supposed to do, and help run an audition callback process. It's a lot. Ask me next year. I probably will have a much better feel. Right now, it's like I have to do that too.
Do you also then connect with the local schools to let them know about Spotlight? If students
not necessarily.
Or kids?
I mean, we all promote by word of mouth and social media and things like that. But we actually have people in place that do
within
that
the
kind of
marketing.
stuff. Yes, and like we have parent committees that are fantastic. And so my job would also be to oversee those parent committees for a production on the production end.
Okay.
So I'm very excited about it. I plan on knocking it out of the park. Thank you. I'm really very happy to be there and doing what I'm doing. Before that, I was a teacher.
Okay.
I taught the Little Toontown, which is our intro to theater kind of thing. They're 5 to 7 because you can't audition until you're 8 for a production. That is the age start for a show to be in a show. But our classes are open starting at 5, and that way kids are gaining experience and they're getting to do things. And I have a background in early childhood education. I love the little ones, and every session would come up and my daughter would say, Mom, don't you want to teach something bigger? And I'm like, I just love the little ones. I just do. I really enjoy at Christmas time. One time one of the kids got up and said, Miss Shelley, can I sing a song for you? And I said, yes, absolutely. And so there she had her little solo, and one by one every kid in the class took a turn, and each one of them sung to me. And by the end I was like, oh, and I'm like, don't you ever forget that you can do that, that you should have the confidence to be able to do that. So I really enjoyed that side of it, and I will kind of miss it. But this new position I'm stepping into is very exciting personally for me as well. And I still get to see the kids, and I still get to help them in the hallways and whatever that they need. I'm still there. So.
That must be such a unique experience to teach kids theater or performing arts. I think of school, you know, and so much of the math and the science, which we need sometimes. But I mean, what a neat way, like you were saying, bringing them out of their shell, building confidence, self-esteem, you know, encouraging them to try something new, you know, just all of that integrated is really even just, I see a way that God is glorified through the work you do, because it's instilling them the confidence to live out what He's already put inside of them. So what a neat opportunity. Yeah. And Brittany, you are also a show director and a teacher.
Yes.
So fill us in on what that looks like for you.
Sure. Well, I primarily teach in Aurora, because that's where I'm from. And I've taught tons of different classes, primarily vocal classes, small little choirs, and music theater classes are primarily what I've done. Anywhere kids generally I get a little bit older, like the 8 through 17, 18-year-olds. Currently I'm teaching in fundamentals of voice class, which is great. So for a bunch of kids who actually, most of my kids are from our summer camps. I recognize a lot of them that attended for a week during the summer and really loved it, so came back and took a class, so that's been really cool. They're crazy, but I love them, and they're learning a lot. And then I'm also teaching an intermediate music theater class for High School Musical themed. So there's one boy and like 14 girls, and he's
oh my goodness, I'm sure.
It's fantastic.
All the attention.
But yeah, and I have my degree in music education, so this has been just the perfect fit for me, to be able to get to know these kids on a personal level, because a lot of them then I would direct for these shows, so to get to know them and to implement all these different skills that we want them to grow in, so that way they can be even more confident on stage and set them up for success, has been really cool. And I've loved seeing all of those different stories of kids just coming out of their shells, especially with voice, kids that have never sang before or never had a solo. They've always been in the back of an ensemble or been cut from shows, to have them have their second to shine, and man, it just it gets you every single time.
That's your joy.
Oh,
one of
absolutely.
Your joys.
Is just seeing these kids succeed in something that they had no idea that they could do. And even more so, I think also having the parents see that too, is them seeing like, wow, like a different side of their kid that they had no idea that they could do that, and their eyes open to how amazing God has made their kid.
Absolutely.
So I love that side of things, but then I've also I really love doing the productions. I've only really music directed, because that's what I love. I think I'm on my 11th production this fall.
Wow. And you've been with Spotlight Youth Theater how long?
I think I'm upwards of 4 years now. 4
years, okay. And so 11 productions within
I've
those
just gone back to back.
4 years.
I love it, clearly.
Okay.
But yeah, and I've been so lucky to have been working in tons of different counties. I've just kind of county hopped to work with tons of different kids and lots of different shows. And it's been great to work with different teams. And every show is different. Every show I take away something different from it.
Do you have a favorite that you do? I know
gosh.
that's hard question.
It's like asking
and I'm
your
going to
favorite
ask you
child.
too.
I have a few favorites. I'll give you like my top 3 because I don't.
Okay,
think I can do
top 3 works. We'll take top 3. Yeah.
Top 3. I really actually Nick, who was on the show recently, or like a few minutes ago. Working with him during Shrek in DuPage was definitely a special time. Just a wonderful cast bond and just such a fun, crazy show. He was insane, but he was great as Lord Farquaad. But anyway, I also loved working on Oklahoma in Lake County. It was just a special time to be able to direct with some of my best friends. And I'm a sucker for Rodgers and Hammerstein. The classical music theater era is just like my love and joy. So to be able to share that with those kids was great. And probably my favorite was Godspell in Aurora. It's kind of hard not to love Godspell just because of the content, but the kids were just stupid talented. Our disciples were just incredible, and it was just such an incredible experience to be able to really use a show as a ministry, and to have all of those kids really just be on board and be challenged in their faith, both on stage and off. So Those
Wow,
would be my top
that's
three,
awesome.
but I love
Thank
all
you.
of them.
Thank you. Miriam, how about you? You also direct shows. Do you have a top three or?
I would say my favorite experience was also in a production of Godspell. I recently was on the directing team as the assistant director in our Northwest Cook County, and I can't explain why it was so fulfilling and amazing. And I mean, every production you work on, it's always fulfilling and amazing, because you come out of it and you see how hard they've worked and what you've accomplished, as a team. But that one was very interesting, just the way that we set up the rehearsal schedule, where we did all of the songs first. So every rehearsal, for the first couple rehearsals, they were learning songs. Then we moved into the dancing, and then we blocked it in one weekend.
Okay. Wow.
So I know, it was very aggressive.
Now explain blocking. I get it, but explain blocking to our viewers.
Sure. Blocking is when you take a scene of the show and start telling the characters and the people, the ensemble, where to move. And you explain, great, we want to establish this feeling in this scene. So you can, move them in such a way to get those feelings and get those emotions across. So basically any stage movement that isn't choreography, that's blocking. And usually you kind of intermix those in the rehearsal process, but just the way that we kind of cast the show and everything, it just worked, it's going to work easier. But with that, so the kids who weren't in certain numbers, vocal numbers, we got them in character development. And we were just really able to start developing their characters in just amazing ways and really, focus on that. So it just turned into this beautiful, powerful production where no matter if I think everyone had a line, but no matter how big their line was, how small their line was, how, if they had a solo, if they didn't have a solo, everything was a moment that impacted someone, and we really just wanted to bring the audience with us on a journey, and we were able to do that very successfully. We took away microphones, so only the guy who played Jesus and the guy who played Judas had face mics. Everyone else, it was floor mics and choir mics. And then the soloist used just handheld, so it was more like a kind of a rock concert feel. And it was just neat hearing the buzz from the audience saying, it feels like we're part of them, part of that tribe. So I just think all of those things combined made it just such
your favorite
awesome
that's
moment.
So great. Thank you so much. We're going to go now to a interview on site at a location at a Spotlight Youth Theater.
I have the blessing and the privilege to be the area coordinator, which is the producer for DuPage County. And I have the privilege of working with all the cast, directors, and families. It begins with auditions. We have a 4 to 5 team directing team that I work with and meet with many times as they're formulating the scripts and the choreography and the music. We meet many times before even auditions. Kids will audition. They will do a 1-minute song and skit and then learn a dance for auditions. We have callbacks the next day, and then we have 7 to 8 weeks of rehearsal. My job is management and privilege of getting to build relationships with the kids and with the directors and with the families. We have parent meetings. We meet with parents. They are all volunteering hours, minimum of 20. Most of them give 80 to 100 hours just to make the excellency of the show. We rehearse. I meet with all the the committee chairs, getting bears, getting makeup, managing the theater, managing rehearsal space. And then we have a week of tech that we come into the theater. We have move-in, which we have all day. We hang up the lights, we set the drops, we set up refreshments and silent auction, and then the kids come in and we manage all the kids in the area and just praise them. Just highlight their talents that God has given them. We usually have 10 shows of each production, one for the fall, winter, and spring. About 4 to 5, even up to 6,000 patrons will come into our theater, into our seats, and experience the excellency on stage given by children to God in every single show.
You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. But if that light's under a bushel. It's lost something kind of crucial. You gotta stick right to be the light of the world. You are the salt of the earth. You are
I am very passionate about excellence in theater and representing Christ with excellence that honors him. And as a Christian, I studied theater in a very secular world. I went to school and got a bachelor's degree in theater, but I was a Christian and I wanted to use those gifts as a Christian. So as a director with Spotlight, that's very exciting for me because my two greatest loves are married. And I love God and I love the theater. And so my passion is to help these kids become all they can be as performers and as believers. And theater is a great tool to build people. It allows us to stretch and to grow. And so when we start rehearsals, we are just starting to lay foundations. And as you get to know the kids and you build into their lives and you gain trust, it becomes an exciting journey spiritually and also theatrically in helping those kids grow. And I am super passionate about both sides of that, in seeing a kid draw closer to God and see how God can help them as they're challenged in their life, whether it be on stage or off. Because a lot of times it'll be a family problem that will end up bonding with a kid and helping them through by actually doing theater together.
no need to pick up any choice. That's okay, I ain't got any anyway. No fingers with my keys. We have but one request. Please put us to the test. I know I'm gonna like it.
So you just heard from a director and a area coordinator from one of the Spotlight locations, and now we're back and we have Sansi, who has joined us. Welcome to our show.
Happy to be here.
And you are a parent who volunteers with Spotlight. And you also have your son Aaron, who we met at the last show,
Yes.
Who is also part of Spotlight.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's one of my 4 children.
Okay.
All 4 of my children have participated with Spotlight in some way. We've been with Spotlight since December of '09.
Wow.
That was our first show, and I was doing the count, and I'm like, we had to have taken some time off. No, we've done every semester since then. We've done a show. So
Wow.
19 in total, including the one that we're in now, the production we're in.
And what was, for you as a mom, like what was it about Spotlight that you're like, yes, my kids need to do this. I want them to do this.
I think we first went to go see a show in Northwest Cook. We saw Joseph.
Okay.
And you know, when someone says, hey, come see my kid in a play, you're thinking, oh great, it's going to be some rinky-dink little kid show or whatever. And I was just blown away by the quality of the production. It was like being downtown watching a big show, just how put together it was, and just that it was polished and the vocals were on point and everybody knew their place, and I was like, wow, this is really cool, you know. And it took us a little while to really convince the kids that this was something that they wanted to do. My oldest daughter was the first one who bit the bullet, and she auditioned first, and the other kids saw how much fun she was having.
She was how old at that time?
Oh gosh, so this was 5 years ago. She's 19 now, so 14.
So 14.
Yep,
yeah.
14. And they just saw how much fun she was having. So my oldest son at the time, he helped her on the soundboard, which is something that I think is really special about Spotlight, is if you have a kid that's a little bit shy, there's other things for them to do. They can work backstage, they can learn the soundboard or lights or help with makeup. And he saw the community atmosphere and just how edifying and uplifting it was, and what great friends she was making. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna do it too. And so ever since then, we've been faithfully committed to Spotlight. I love it.
Wow, that's so good. And what is your role as a parent volunteer? I have probably more than 100 roles that you play. But
you know what?
do you do?
So all parents are required to fulfill a certain amount of hours of volunteer work. one parent per family. Sometimes my husband joins in too, and he'll be on a committee. So when my younger kids were very small and it was just the big kids in it, I was on the strike committee, which helps prepare the meal for the strike party and puts it together at the end of the show. I've been on the photography team, so taking backstage pictures for parents because the rehearsals are closed, so only a few parents have access. So we document that backstage and at rehearsals, and somebody outed me that I could sew, so now I'm on the costume committee usually, which I love though. I was a little fearful of it at first because it sounds like a lot of work, but you really get to know the kids, and they're so appreciative of the time that you're taking to make pieces for them.
How much time? I'm thinking like these productions are beautiful and really intricate details on the costume. So how much time would it take to make one?
Well, it depends on how well you sew. I've learned a lot about sewing in my time being on the costume committee. At first it was just hemming and basic alterations. We have a really great stockpile at the warehouse that they have set aside for each show, so they try to give you a really good base to work from. And then depending on your level of ability of sewing, your head of your committee will assign you different projects. So they're pretty respectful about what your time commitment is. But if you really love sewing, they'll give you a better project. I like to shop, so I'm usually the thrifter. So which is great,
like
because
props and different things like that.
Props is a separate committee, but for costumes, I'll go to like the local thrift shop and find certain pieces if we're not have exactly the right thing that can't really be made. So
okay, awesome. Thank you for sharing. And I know, Shelley, you're also a parent volunteer.
Yes.
And are you still going to do that while you're doing the area coordinator?
Yes, because I'm crazy.
And you love it, obviously.
I do. It's something that I get to do with my children, and we share it, and it's really fun for all of us. And so even my oldest, who is not involved in...
So how many kids do you have involved in Spotlight?
I have 2 right now involved in Spotlight. And my oldest is away at school, but she, when she's around, she comes and mics the girls. And so she'll sign up and help backstage when she can. And so it's just nice. It's something we can all do together, and we all support each other in this love of the theater that we have. I have worked with Spotlight on their costume committee, is where I started. And then I tried to sneak away and do makeup. Once they got
costume mom for life. Never let you go.
It's true. It's true. So that was something I know very well. And I actually in college worked in a theater shop on campus, and that was part of my scholarship requirement. So I learned all kinds of stuff. So when I didn't even tell them I could do that at first. So as it slowly came out, they're like, "Wait, what? Wait, what? Yeah, oh yeah." I think my machine outed me, So that was good. But just such wonderful people on that team. You do put in a lot of hours on that, but there's also it's actually required every parent that has a child in a production per family is 20 hours of a time commitment, which gets done very quickly.
Over what time?
For
20
6
hours?
weeks, 8 weeks, somewhere in there. And that could be done in one weekend easily. If you were working backstage, you're done. But without that, we can't run, because we are a nonprofit organization. We're an amazing organization, but we really rely on those parent volunteers. So I have been known to be on 3 committees at once, because I'm found out that on Willy Wonka they needed an airbrusher for Oompa Loompa's faces, and I'm like, oh, I airbrush, and they're like, you do? So at lunch they're like, she can airbrush, and so I would start with costumes, and then during intermission I'd run over and be spraying kids orange. It was so much fun. I loved it. I just loved it. So I really thrived as a parent in this, and it's the joke in our house that the kids say, I thought Spotlight was supposed to be for us, and here you are, Mom, and you're doing all these things. But it really has been a nice fit for our whole family.
Well, and I love how you both, it bonds you too to your kids. It gives you something to do together.
Well, my husband every once in a while will say, can't we take a show off? And I'm like, well, what about my friends? So
you build your own community, just the kids were sharing about their community of friends. You as parents and even staff, right? You have your community. And
yeah, my mom passed away last year, and most of the people in the audience that had come for her service were my Spotlight friends. That morning, as I was planning it, there was a parent meeting, and our AC held a prayer service for me as I was planning and dealing with it. And so many of them came, and it was just amazing to know that I had that support of the community, and I just felt so uplifted and loved, and it was just great.
It's so much more than just teaching theater.
It's a community.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much bigger.
Something I want to
yeah,
add is
please.
what got me the first time I ever saw a show as just a normal public coming in off the street person was the spotlight point at the very end of every show, and even showcase for our classes, which is their recital. The kids always end in a point up. Just they just are pointing up to just give the glory back to God. They know where their talent comes from, and they know their motivation for doing what they do. And I cry every time, every time.
That's not an exaggeration.
It's
No,
true
it's so
because
good.
it's
and
just
it's humble. It's it's being thankful. It's gratitude, and it's like this is for you, and this is from you, and to you. You know that verse that all things belong to Him, all things come from Him, all things are for Him. You know, I think that even with theater, you know, what a neat way to end each show. And you said each
even showcases.
Showcase.
Every for the kids that are in showcase, sometimes there's students that will never do a production, just want to do our classes, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And so that to them is their moment to get to do the point. It's kind of, it just feels like you've arrived somewhere, you've gotten to do something like, oh, they did the point, now I even got to do the point this summer because we did a summer show, and they invited
as adults.
As adults,
So
they
you need to do a spotlight for adults because I would.
we can work on that. We can work on that. But when we did the spotlight point as adults, teachers, directors, and alumnus for the show we did this summer, it was amazing to get to finally not backstage behind a curtain with the crew, but to actually get to do it, and it was very.
It's like a form. It is a form of worship.
It was. It was definitely. We are worshiping God through the art of theater, and that's why I love Spotlight.
Yeah, that's so good. One more question about with you being the parents and having kids in Spotlight. What have you noticed in your kids? As they've grown, as they've been challenged, as maybe just being a part of Spotlight, what have you noticed about just either their personality or their maturity or just their character? Anything about that you want to speak to? Because clearly it's more than just learning the craft.
Sure.
So what have you guys noticed?
Well, I think I have two answers to that. The first thing is that they learn the art of perseverance. You know, as they develop a little bit more in it, they want those bigger roles, they want those bigger parts, and they learn to deal with competing against their friends that they have to learn to like at the end of it, you know, and learn how to, if they don't get the part that they want, the disappointment of that. And still like the person. That's real world training, that you're going to be working with somebody one day and you're going to be up for the same job, and you're still going to have to deal with that person who has the better part in life than you at that moment.
And I like how you said at that moment, right?
At that moment, they've got something that maybe looks a little bit better. Maybe they have the better, ranking in the cast, but you know what? It's team effort. It's teamwork. That show cannot go on without every parent doing their job, without every person saying their line, without every person knowing their blocking, without the spot being where it's supposed to be. It's not going to happen. And I think my one daughter in particular, she actively asks for critique. She's always trying to figure out how to be better. And I don't know that at her age, even now, like I don't want to know what's wrong with me. But that's something particular in her that I've noticed is just really remarkable, to be humble enough to say, what can I do better? How can I be better? How can I get what I want?
Yeah, that's powerful, and not take it as a negative.
No,
but take it as encouragement.
For some reason,
like,
we want to internalize that.
Right.
Is that something? There's something wrong with me? No, I just want to know how to be better. Doesn't mean that something's bad. Just you need to improve, and she's really good about asking for that.
That's great.
And I'm always so impressed.
Yeah, they're teaching you too, right? Shelley, how about you? A couple of things from your kids that you've noticed.
Definitely, I am seeing confidence. You know, where there might have been insecurity before, I'm watching that grow. You know, they are taking in constructive criticism, and they're being built up constantly, and they're being challenged, which I think makes it real. You know, we can tell everybody how great they are all day long, but they're not going to believe you. And if you take them on a journey and you help them, you know, they're starting here and they end here, they've grown and they know that. And that gives them confidence in life that they can continue to grow, and that, you know, their limits are not quite what they thought they were. They could be limitless. And so that's been exciting for me to see in my children, the discipline, you know, just to practice and to commit and to be there for each other. And if, rehearsals can't run, if one person's missing and there's a hole on the stage and somebody's got to yell out lines, that doesn't go smoothly. And so it's really good for them to see that. The family element is very important as well. It's just a community for sure of people that just support and love one another, and the kids are there for each other, the parents are there for each other, and the parents are there for your kids if you're not there. That's happened a lot too. And so it's just been a really safe, wonderful environment to watch your kids just grow in the area God wants them to be. It's been so really healthy for my child. And I actually have one regret in life is that we didn't start sooner. Because
I agree with that.
I just feel like that when those middle school years is really difficult, and we started kind of at the end of that for my first child, and that's in it. And I just really wish she would have had it a little sooner, although she's done great with the time she's given. But with Spotlight, you graduate at 18, and so her times can be a little shorter than the kids I started right off the bat.
Right. Well, with that, thank you both so much. I want to hear, as the show's closing, just how can people find out more about Spotlight? I know it's non-for-profit, so does Spotlight also take donations? Can they find the schedule, to go to a show to find out? So can you briefly, we have for overtime, but can you just share, Miriam, how people can get involved?
Yeah, very briefly. You can visit spotlight.org. That's our website. And if you have kids between 5 and 18, you can enroll them for classes. We have 3 sessions, fall, winter, and spring. So we're currently in fall, but some of our areas are still taking enrollment. And if you're enrolled in a class in ages 8 to 18, you can audition for a show. We put on 33 productions a year between all of our counties. And tickets are available to public, very, reasonably priced. That's online as well. So come support our fall shows. We have a great lineup. And if if you miss a show, can't do a class, we do accept donations. We are a non-for-profit, and we can't do the amazing work that we're able to do without donors, but also without parent volunteers, and really any volunteers who can come in and work in the office even and help us with little projects that we have. So
wonderful.
That information is online.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to close in prayer, and that'll be the end of the show. Okay. So Father God, we worship you. God, we thank you that truly all things point to you, and I thank you that Spotlight Youth Theater intentionally gives you the glory, and we ask that you would continue to be glorified through the parents' lives, through them giving, through the staff, and through the students. We ask that you would bless and grow this organization, let many lives be touched and reached. And God, I pray that their mission and their heart to reclaim the arts for Christ, to glorify Christ through the performing arts, would be increased, and that they would see fruit, God, more fruit, that they would live out more and more of what you've put inside of them. And I just pray that as people come to the productions, Lord, that they would just be drawn to the love and to the light of Christ that they see in the students that are there, and to the people that help on stage, and to the parents, from the parents and the staff. God, we just thank you for what an amazing organization and opportunity they have to declare who you are in such a unique and amazing way. So we give you glory, and we thank you for this time tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
I suppose, think we're mad, heaven knows, the world has gone to rack and to ruin.
What we think is chic, unique, and quite adorable, they think it's odd, utterly deplorable. But the fact is, everything today is thoroughly modern.
Check your personality.
Everything today makes yesterday slow.
Better face reality.
It's not insanity, it's just vanity.